Hiya! Welcome to the Nerd Kingdom's review of Wonder Woman. You got me, Ewan, today on my own. Sam and Dan are busy with other stuff, so I thought I'd crank out a little quick review giving you my overall impressions of the film. What I liked, what I didn't, and then telling you how much I'd spend on it at the end. Let's give the film a bit of context. It's set during World War One, which started after a group of Serbians assassinated Archduke Ferdinand of Austria, and because of the treaties that had been signed by the empires in the late 1800s, everything escalated from there. This story takes place in the last few weeks of the war, with both sides working towards signing a treaty to bring the war to an end. The mission in which Diana and Steve are on threatens to put the peace that they are all working so hard to achieve into jeopardy, which really ups the stakes here. First of all, let's get this out of the way. I think the film is very good. I think it more than makes up for Suicide Squad and puts the DCEU firmly back on track. It melds the comedy with the darkness of World War I spectacularly, never relying too much on one or the other. It allows us to connect to the main characters of Diana and Steve, who are at the heart of this film. Steve is played brilliantly by Chris Pine, who reacting to all of this going on around him adds to the comedy. He is the everyman for the beginning, acting as the conduit through which we see this film, and it's a nice touch that for a lot of this he is skeptical of believing in Hades, Zeus, and all the other old gods, and that it's not until the final part of the climax does he actually believe what Diana is saying. The action is second to none, with the trench scene being one of the standouts of the entire film, as Wonder Woman crosses the trenches having had enough of seeing all the suffering around her, taking all the fire, and the fight choreography and the cinematography was very well done in this scene, and the film in general. There was not a hint of shaky cam that we've had the last few years. It also did a very good job in not vilifying anybody too much. We see that people on both sides were working for peace, and that some of the people on, inverted commas, the good guys' side, were willing to let their men die in order to win the war. This prompts Diana to berate one of the generals for being so flippant about the life of his men, while the Germans are only really villains by circumstance that the story is being told from an Allied power's perspective. But even then, the overarching point is that it's humanity, not the nations, that are at fault. To paraphrase Steve in the film, humanity is a mix of both good and bad, and ultimately it is war, not the nations, that are the villains here. The film does a very good job of setting up the mythology of Themyscira and the old gods, incorporating them wonderfully while quickly getting them out of the way, switching focus to the Amazons, who are seen as a noble people, and the fact that it's an island comprised entirely of women is touched on more for comedy from Steve than anything else. I'm interested in seeing where this, what we're going to see here, because it does lend itself to having more of Jack Kirby's The New Gods, which are like Darkseid, Granny Goodness, Allfather in the upcoming film. So we've already had a hint of that. I want to see where that goes further. It wasn't all amazing, however. I did feel that the pacing was a bit iffy in some points. A lot of the first half and the middle felt like set up, to be fair. I don't know where they could have cut it, if I'm honest. Some of the side characters felt a little bit underdeveloped. While they were still serviceable in the parts that they had to play, I just wish we could have gotten a bit more out of them. The villains are a whole other story. They often suffer the same problem as the Marvel ones do, in that they are very underdeveloped. Dr. Poison is just a generic evil scientist, and Danny Houston's General Ludendorff, who we are led to believe is Ares for most of the film, is very one-note, wanting to win the war for the sake of not giving away the film's twist at the end. Both of them lack any real depth, and we don't understand why they are doing what they're doing, other than they are giving into their more negative aspects than thanks to the manipulations of Ares. The God of War is nicely set up, and the revelation that he's in fact the God of Truth is a nice spin on the character, but he isn't given a lot to do until the third act, which is unfortunate when you've got as good an actor as you have. I'm not spoiling who he is. I just think they could have done more with him. Gal Gadot has moments when she shines, but others when not so much. Some of her line delivery can be a bit wooden at times, but as we see in the film, there are times when she can bring some really nuanced moments, and she brings it when the action. This woman can do everything that you see on screen, and she has the presence needed to be Wonder Woman. So I'm now intrigued to see where they take the character in Justice League and in Wonder Woman 2. Bringing this to the end, I feel The director, Patty Jenkins, has done a wonderful job in bringing the character to the big screen. All the actors give it their all and do the best they can with what they are given. And in these times, the message of the film is really important. If I had to spend money on it, I'd spend about £35, which buys the ticket, a Blu-ray, and some merchandise. So, that's it. Thanks for listening. If you like what we do here on the channel, give us a like and subscribe. Follow us at our Facebook page at The Nerds Kingdom. Until next time, guys, that's a goodbye from me.